A few years ago, I was asked to play for a New Year's Eve party at a pub in the West Country. I live in London, so I quoted them a higher than usual price. How much? They said. You must be joking. And they said, all we want is somebody to play for half an hour. Welcome back to Baggypipes TV, everything you always wanted to know about the bagpipes but were afraid to ask. In this video we are going to be looking at why musicians charge so much, and this advice is true for all musicians, not just bagpipers, because all too often people think we are here just charging them an exorbitant amount of money just for a few hours work. Now, in the interests of balance, there is a thing called supply and demand. The better you are at something, the more you can charge. A private Ed Sheeran concert, for example, will set you back a whopping £1 million. But even in that extreme, it's very unlikely Ed Sheeran will get to keep all of that money for himself. Why? Well, if you work as a record label, you have to take on risks. And new talent, and the harsh reality is that most of your up-and-coming stars will end up costing you money, not making it. So record companies use the profits from successful artists to support the others. That's just the way the economics of the music industry work. Richard Branson made his initial fortune from Mike Oldfield when Tubular Bells became Virgin Records' first album in 1973, although Mike did eventually get his own back when he released Amaruk in May 1990. 48 minutes into the track you can hear some dots and dashes which reliably spell out off RB in Morse code. Simply put, musicians are not as rich as you think they are, with the record labels taking the lion's share of the profits. In 1994, however, all this began to change with the birth of the World Wide Web. Simply Red became the first bands to realise they could bypass the record labels entirely and distribute their music from their own website. The move came when they finished a long contract with Warner. In an interview with Future World 2009, band manager Ian Grenfell said, "The internet was absolutely crucial in our decision to go independent. It gave us a lot of confidence as well. It gave us a feeling that there were tens of thousands of people out there that were willing us on." Mick Hucknall added, "We would never have gained the attention without a major record label throughout the world initially. I just got tired of them taking all the money." By releasing their own music on their own record label, they got 3 times as much per CD and 6 times as much when the music was downloaded. So you think you're paying for someone to perform some music. Here is what you are actually paying for. Number 1, transportation to and from the venue. Had I gone to that New Year's Eve party, it would have cost me somewhere in the region of £200 for an off-peak return ticket, and even in the London area, you are looking at £10 at the very minimum. Number 2, overnight stay. There are no trains after midnight, especially inside the urban areas, so unless we are expected to sleep on the station platform, bed and breakfast doesn't come for nothing. Number 3, equipment and instruments. Our instruments are expensive and cost money to maintain. Occasionally they break, and when they do, we need to pay to have them repaired. Sometimes we need to buy new instruments, and they don't come for nothing either. Number 4, rehearsal time. If you expect us to perform to a high standard, that means hours of rehearsal time. It means spending time on organising the performance and joint rehearsals, not to mention the amount of money spent on lessons and training to become the musicians that we are. Even the best musicians in the world see their tutors from time to time. Number 5, public liability insurance. Now, thankfully, I've never had an accident while out on a job, but they do happen, and when they happen, somebody needs to pay for the damage. It's good practice to have insurance in place, even if you're performing anywhere. But many district councils, as well as private companies, will simply not allow you to perform on their premises unless you produce a valid certificate first. Number 6, promotion and website costs. If we want jobs, we have to advertise, and that means setting up a website, maintaining that website, hosting costs, and then paying the likes of Google to get our websites noticed in the search engines. All of that costs money, and that's not even targeted advertising, which costs even more. Number 7, royalties. You can't go around playing somebody else's music unless you give them some money. These are called royalties, and there are very heavy fines for people who don't pay them. Number 8, management and agency fees. If an agency finds you some work, they will want a fee for that service. Agencies and promoters don't work for nothing, they have their full-time staff to look after and their ongoing costs as well. Number 9, personal fee. Even when you have taken all of those costs into consideration, if it's not too much, us musicians would still like to make some money for ourselves if we may, because we have to put food on the table and pay our bills like everybody else. That's it? Well, not quite. Number 10, taxes. Once all expenses have been taken into consideration, the tax man wants his share as well. So these are just some of the expenses that musicians have to face, and there are probably loads more I haven't even mentioned. If you can think of any, add them in the comments section below. If you want us to perform at your venue and do a good job of it, then please treat us with the same respect, and I've heard all the excuses, so before I go, here are some of my favourites.
But we are providing you with a 3-course meal.
Great! Can you provide me with another 3-course meal that I can give my bank manager in lieu of my mortgage payments?
You will get exposure out of this, and it will lead to bigger things.
Don't try that one.
We really like you, but we don't have a big budget and won't make any money from the evening.
If this is an event raiser, a live musician will pull the crowds in and make more money, but the economics of your evening still have to make sense, and that's true whether you're an international promoter or a small village hall. Musicians simply can't go around adjusting their prices based on what they think the customer can afford, otherwise we end up doing jobs for peanuts. Remember, the job has to be in our interest as well.
The job's for charity.
There are hundreds of thousands of worthwhile charities out there, but whenever you see those daytime TV adverts with the cute animals or starving children in the third world aimed at pushing all your guilt buttons, those charities still have overheads of their own, and it's widely accepted that some of your donation will go towards covering those costs. That's just the way it is. So again, no, I wouldn't do it for free if it was for charity, but I wouldn't rip them off either.
We'll pay you cash in hand, so you don't have to worry about the red tape.
Not pay my taxes, you mean?
What about if the job is for friends or family?
Yes, that is different, but don't think you can become my friend just to get a free job. And in any case, a friendship is a two-way thing, right? So what are you doing for me? That's all I have time for this week, but if you can think of any other excuses to get out of paying musicians their fair price, do post them in the comments below, because I enjoy a laugh as much as the next person. And while you're at it, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit like and subscribe to keep up to date with all my future videos.
It costs that much cause it takes me fucking hours. It costs that much cause I don't have superpowers. So you need to pay for my skills cause exposure doesn't pay the bills. It costs that much cause it takes me fucking hours.